Hi everyone, my name is Essen and you're listening to the Brown History Podcast. Our guest today is actress Kani Kusruti. She won Best Actress at the Credit State Film Awards in 2020 and her recent film, All We Imagine Is Light, won the prestigious Grand Prix award at Cannes and is set to make its Canadian debut at the Toronto Film Festival this week. All We Imagine Is Light is the first Indian film to compete at Cannes Film Festival since the last 3 decades. So it's very exciting to talk to her and there's so much to talk about. This episode was possible thanks to Nandita Datta and the Toronto International Film Festival. If you're enjoying this podcast, subscribe to our newsletter and check out our shop. And if you want to help keep the podcast going, do consider being a patron. Thank you so much for listening and let's get this started. So it's a very big year for you. The movie that you were in, We Imagine as Light, it won one of the most prestigious awards in the movie industry. It won the Grand Prix. That's a really big deal. I think it was the first Indian film to win in like ever. And I wanted to know what that moment was like for you.
So when we were working together and when we were shooting for the film or before the shooting, how Payal kind of prepared all of us, all way, I kind of, some films, you kind of feel it's a very strong author.
Right.
Or sometimes you feel it's an entirely like, collaborative in a way or something like that. Payal's film was both for me. I also felt she's extremely collaborative and, open to ideas and everything, but at the same time, she's a very strong author. She will take only what she wants, and her kind of her style is like better of a lack of good word. I'm just using that, but I'm not so good in English, so I'm gonna say it like.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. So like what she envisions that really comes through the film. It's her style or it's her thing, So for me, of course, the moment when they announced it, I really hoped the film or the script or the cinematography, if one of
something.
that. Yeah, for me personally, I if it won something for the script or the screenplay or dialogue, because it is also one of my personal favorite in the film. I thought it's so well written.
Right.
For me, one of that, or it's somehow we all actors also, we all felt like something for the film. It should not be an actor or something, like somehow, because it felt it meant always it's the whole film than anything else. Something like this was there. So of course, for that moment, I thought like it's so well deserving, like Payal really deserves that. That's what I felt. But at the same time, she kind of brought all of us on stage, and that particular moment, somehow it felt beyond of that film and beyond Payal, beyond everything. For me personally, I suddenly got reminded of a lot of female directors or writers, aspiring directors, who would want to make a lot of stories, and some of them were never able to make, and they passed. Some are still struggling, or I don't know, I somehow got reminded of all those women and some men as well, like people who are really struggling into getting into, for whatever reasons, no producers or nobody's there to support their work, or no
personal work,
or they're not able to see that vision, and so they really kind of struggle. So for me, like that moment was so overwhelming. Suddenly I was like, oh my God, maybe this win will make somebody's path slightly easier. I hope it does something, that kind of feeling. And that made me feel so grateful for Payal to make it or something, and it all came through or something. This was my feeling mainly. Even though it was especially for Payal, I also felt something like it was a win for a lot of people who couldn't make it, or they're on the way to make it. Because one is, Payal approached to me with this film some 7-8 years ago, and I was supposed to do the other part, which Divya
wow.
saying. She wrote the character thinking me even. And then
right.
I know her journey also. Of course, she liked that she took time, but at the same time, it wasn't easy for her to make the film for whatever. It took its own time. And, I end up playing the elder character because I also grew old, or like, so that much it took for her to make this film that now everybody is celebrating because it won this or that, whatever,
Right.
But similarly, a lot of untold stories are there out, and unless it gets recognized, people just don't have the ability to see it. And you really need great producers to see someone's vision when it's in the right place and in the right time. I think it's very rare that happens, and yeah, so that's what I feel.
What was the reaction back home in South India like? Like, did that really make a big impact, like a big, strong headline in the news that like this movie made it to France and then it won an award and like it's made by a woman and it stars women and did it like really, create a wave in South India or do they not really understand it yet?
No, no, it did. Like when were back, we were all flooded with like so much appreciation and everything. This one thing actually, I think, meant a lot for whole India. It was not just South India, all over. I felt
All over India.
very special. No, that was very, very welcoming and very, very much everybody wanted to celebrate that win. That's the feeling I felt. But the only thing is, I always felt still, yes, but how are we going to go about it? Like, what about like new other directors who would want to, will this help them? That's when the true meaning comes through by our action in future, how, that can transcend to or extend this great win should extend to its other actions that will help others to make their art.
Right.
So I hope that happens. I mean, like coming back to your question, yes, there was a great welcome and people still appreciate and everyone is happy and which feels great. But for me, mainly, I hope really like there is somebody's work is probably is one step less than Payal's, like something. This win made it easier for somebody. That's how I want to believe it.
Right. It paved the path maybe for people in the future.
I hope so.
I read that the movie got an 8-minute standing ovation. Is that
Yeah.
true?
Yeah.
Do you just
I
stand there for 8 minutes?
Yes, I didn't know it was 8 minutes. I was like, at one point, when will they stop? Then I also read it. It was 8 minutes. We were not like really checking time at that moment.
That
But
must be awkward.
No, I studied in France and then I have worked in a theatre group in France. So I'm used to standing ovations and people keep clapping when you perform really, when the audience really love your performance. Even on stage, you go into your backstage and then they don't stop, they continue clapping, then you are supposed to come back, then they continue clapping, then you go back again, you come back. So sometimes I have come 9 times back on stage. So I have
Wow.
experience before. I mean, not just me, like my whole group, but
Sure.
have experienced it is what I meant. But of course, for a film, this is the first time I have experienced it. And so it was not new to me, probably, but
Okay.
at the same time, I was like, okay, now it's over. Okay, bye.
Wow. No, 8 minutes is a long time. That's amazing. And one of the things you did that made the headlines was that you showed your support for Palestine on the red carpet.
Yeah.
Did that decision create a lot of backlash for you or controversy or meh?
Yeah, there was a lot. Yeah, I mean, see, I didn't, mostly my personality, I don't really think like, I mean, if I want to do something, I think about it, but I don't think so much, some
The bigger
backlash,
consequences?
consequences that has meaningful consequences, I do think about, but
Okay.
just noise of consequences, I it doesn't come to me naturally until I see it. I'm like, oh,
Okay.
okay, I had no idea this could have gone like this. That I don't think, but I truly genuinely think of an actual consequences of that one can or something, and I do think about it. But things that people just want to say anything or anything that like becomes
So
random.
was there noise or was there actual consequences that came after?
So one thing, a lot of noise, according to me, because they were like, oh, wow, how can you support Palestine? Why not Israel? What about Ukraine? What's happening there?
Yeah.
So like, what about tree of why not this or that? I mean, that I'm not even going to answer. And people very well, at least the people I'm with very well know that there is no point in just saying, why not that? Why not this? Why you're not only talking about this? No, I that's not how I see anyway world. So for me, that was not a thing. But there was some genuine questions of people are like, oh, what about I have done a previous film which was probably politically Islamophobic. If then how can you have a stand like this? So which is a relevant question, I feel. But I'm still not in a place as an actor where I can completely choose my politics in the story. I'm not in a place where full of choices and I can completely stand with the exact politics that I believe in and I will be part of a story which will state exactly what I believe in. I'm still in a place where once in a while a story comes and probably I'm able to do it. And so when I did that film, at least for the director, it was not Islamophobic. That I know. Even when I read the script, I knew that this can interpret to an Islamophobic film. But the director was, that was not my intention. That is not my intention. And he cleared to me why he believes so. And he also said he's part of the community and this is his personal story. And I believe that he has the right to say then that,
Right.
So that is one reason why I did it. I'm not saying if I had made many better opportunities, if I would have done it, maybe I wouldn't have. Because that was one film where I got first chance to kind of play a character which, like, I also wanted to know how much caliber I have as an actor in a film, if I have to the true role. So it was all of that. And for me, the film is not entirely Islamophobic, but I can see it can be interpreted that way. This is how I see it, with the surroundings. This is how I see it. But people criticizing me, so why are you doing that film back then 5-6 years ago and now you're supporting Palestine? How? So this I don't see. It's okay. If somebody did that in the past and if they whatever their stand is, doesn't mean that you can't have any political stand about anything related to that. You have to continue being, if people thought I am Islamophobic, for example, I don't have to continue being so
Right.
Even if I was that person,
Yeah.
even if I were to be that, I can change, and if it's a better change, people should think that she's better now, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't mind people engaging with that because I think I should hold account for it. I believe that, but this is my standard. But then there were noises like these kind of noises things as well. But I'm okay. I know what I did and I stand with it.
No regrets.
No regrets.
When it comes to cinema in India, Bollywood gets all the attention. I always wanted to know how people in the other film industries in India saw Bollywood. I wanted to know how you see Bollywood as someone who watches films and also as someone who works in films.
Someone who watches film, Bollywood is not really my favorite.
Okay. As compared to I guess it's called Mollywood, right?
Yeah, you can say
Malayalam film industry.
Cinema. For me in India, I some Bengali films I like, some Maharashtrian films I like. I mean individually, but I cannot unless until I watch many Bengali mainstream and all kinds of films or Maharashtrian films or other films, I can't really comment on the cultural diversity they are bringing on into the film area. This I don't know. But some good Marathi films I have seen, some good Bengali films I've seen. Some Tamil good films I've seen or Kannada films I've seen. Bollywood, as most what I have consumed as an Indian films than any of these regional films, in that, Bollywood is not something I'm that attracted to as a watcher. As an actor, absolutely no.
Why? What does Bollywood not have that?
It is really not entertaining to me. It is boring mostly. That is why.
Okay.
It's nothing. I'm not looking for a nuanced artistic film or anything. I'm just going there hoping that it will entertain me or at minimum.
Okay.
And it's not entertaining me, let alone enlightening me. So I am.
So would you say Malayalam films are better than Bollywood movies?
Yes.
Why? What is it that they have there?
It is entertaining. Like you go watch, you have to be entertained. Maybe some films make you engage. Sometimes some things you'll take away something back home. I mean, it's none of this is necessary, but the minimum is entertainment for me. Minimum.
Okay.
And if that it doesn't do, then I don't understand it. So most Bollywood film, I'm not talking about all of it. There are, like, for example, old film like this Jaane Do Bhiyaro, like Jaane Do Bhiyaro, something like, I forgot the name. Some old film which was entertaining. So sometimes some Bollywood films were fun and entertaining, but mostly their sense of humor, their structure in cinema, their script writing, their plot and acting and everything, I find a little boring and not entertaining, very predictable. And as opposed to Malayalam cinema, I find I'm talking about only commercial films now. I'm not even talking about independent films or art house films. In commercial films, I find Malayalam films have better, more complex screenplay, more surprises, entertaining, acting level is better, script writing and dialogue writing is far better than Bollywood films. This is of course a generic idea. I'm not saying all of Bollywood.
Right,
There are
right.
one or two films every year which I'm like, okay, this was a good film of Bollywood. Like that I felt. But as opposed to Malayalam will have some, if out of 100, some 70 films I would like. So that's the
Okay.
ratio difference. So that's why.
If someone wanted to start watching if someone to watch
First, you have to say, be able to say Malayalam, then you can watch it.
Malayalam, sorry.
No,
If
I'm
someone
joking.
wanted to watch Malayalam film cinema, what 2-3 movies would you recommend that would like capture the essence of that?
See, there were a lot of amazing films in the 70s and 80s. None of them are like remastered, or none of them have subtitles. So I can't suggest that. I can only suggest
What about
okay,
films in this
right.
generation?
Yeah, so right now there are films like Kumbalangi Nights or Maheshinde Pratikaram. Then there is Sudani from Nigeria. There are like interesting different kind of mix of films. There is this film called Avesham. It's all like fun. I mean, not all of them are like serious or anything, but like there are films that I like.
Doesn't Bollywood remake a lot of movies from South India a lot? Okay.
Some of them, I mean, even we have done the other way around also, but less, I think. It's Hindi people, like Hindi films are more remade from Malayalam than Malayalam took a film from Hindi. For example, I like Sriram Raghavan's Hindi films, like Andhadhun. It was fun, I thought. So there are some films sometimes like Dibagir Banerjee and Dibagir Banerjee and Sriram Raghavan and Kanu Bail and Anurag Kashyap. There are some directors that I really like. Vikramaditya Motway, they have something interesting always. But most other Hindi Bollywood films, I find them a little boring. Yeah.
Okay. When I was researching about oh my god,
Malayalam. Okay. You know Malaysia, right? Malaysia. So the first
Malaysia,
letter is Malayalam.
Malayalam.
Yeah.
The Y was like a not a ya. Malayalam.
Yes.
Okay. When I was researching Malayalam films on the website, on the internet, on Google, all the headlines, every headline was about #Me Too,
Yeah.
sexual harassment, gender discrimination, a lot of drama, so much drama that I saw it on the New York Times in the newspapers here in the West talking about it. Is I guess my question is, what were your experiences like?
So see, I don't think it's only in Malayalam cinema, or I don't think it's only in cinema industry alone.
Right. But I guess right now it's more active right now.
Start right, and I feel it's great that it just happened, and I mean it's great that somebody started it, and there is no surprise that it happened in a place like Kerala, because I do think they kind of the culturally we are kind of, I feel in India, Kerala is slightly culturally ahead in some of the things, not all of the things, but some things. The discourses and the questions happens slightly early than other cultural areas of other states. Some things. There are things where Kerala is so far behind also, I feel. But then there are things where they are ahead. So this is one of that thing where I thought it's so important that the dialogue started happening. And I think I heard that many other industries also wanting to have a commission who can kind of listen to other survivors, or like what is happening exactly in the industry and exactly what's the transparency, how was the system working. So I think Bollywood and Telugu and Tamil, some industries have already, Bengali, some industries have already taken the similar stand once they heard that this has happened in Kerala. Yeah. So basically what happened is the government appointed this HEMA commission to get, I don't know how much you follow exactly what happened. So
there was a report. And I read that you quit acting in 2019. Is that true?
No, that is not true. That is something this is always used out of context. I think I have said something at a certain point and it's just like completely used out of context, and every time I clarify. No, the thing is I never had passion to acting or anything so much. And then I used to find film industry a little strange and many things. So I was like, maybe I don't want to do this. So something like this I said, and it just went like that. Yes, I've been also approached by like phone calls or messages, or one day somebody says, "Hey, this is your part," and then they would they would be on a call or messaging inappropriately or something. And when I do not entertain it or say no to it, then there is no character, or that was like they will go to some other actor, and such things have happened to me. But it didn't matter because it was not really my passion, and I did not really care about this. But it has happened. Whenever I stood against it,
Mm-hmm.
the you didn't get the work. But so that clearly says how this industry sometimes work. And so what about the people who are way more talented than me and who really have the passion to act? They will feel really sad if they keep saying no. So a lot of people are saying, why didn't you say no before to others? And I'm like, some for people who this is a passion, and if they keep saying no and they're never getting work, that's not the right space. This shouldn't happen in the first place. And if people are being predators like that, they are the one to be not to get work, and the people who are struggling or suffering with that, they should get work instead. So I just think that it's great that we are having a dialogue right now, and instigate a dialogue about these things are far more important, and so that we can together find the balanced workspace which is more transparent and equal for everybody who works there. And that is what someone will kind of dream for, and that is why it's happening in Kerala. And I'm sure every other industries, not just cinema industry, every other places such things happens. One day all of this will come out, I hope, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just a beginning. And
Yeah.
that start happen in Kerala, that's what it is.
Do your parents worry about you?
My parents?
Yeah.
No,
You know,
I'm
it's
fine, it's okay.
I mean, parents are parents. I read,
No,
I used,
parents
you,
are very different. I will send you, I mean, out of this interview, but I will send you my father's letter. When
I read it. I read it. I
So
read
that's my
it.
father. So you will know.
That's a pretty cool letter. That's a pretty like very that when did you learn that your parents were very different from other people's parents?
Probably when I was 3 or 4,
Right
because
away you knew.
I knew it by when I was 3 or 4 itself,
My
because
dad would never send me a letter like that, you know. So when so they must be very supportive and very open to you, I guess,
they are
explore.
extremely open. They were not married to begin with. They were living together in that generation in Kerala.
That's crazy.
Yes. And it was, that letter is not a surprise to me. It was just an extension of my childhood. So it was like the culmination how my father generally will talk on a day-to-day basis. And both my parents were like, I used to call them by name. I've never called them mom or dad. I
Really?
call, yes, I call Maitreya and Jayashree, and I call my mother actually the Jayashree Chechi. Chechi means Didi.
Okay. That's
Like a
that's cool.
sister.
That's
No, that
wild.
just happened. But yeah, I'm just saying. No, my father was quite uh, strict. I mean, as in like he want everybody to call him by name, no sir or uncle, or like all my
Right.
cousins, all of them call him Maitreya. Nobody calls him like this uncle or anything.
It sounds like you would have to do something really bad to get them mad. Otherwise,
Yeah.
everything is fine.
See, they will not get mad. I think they help me to get a conscience of
Conscious.
right, not conscious, like conscious, like what is right and wrong. I think they
Right.
help me
A moral
build,
compass.
yes, but help me build a mind where I know what I want, but I know what is right at the same time and wrong.
Yeah.
And is it affecting other people? Is it a personal choice which doesn't affect other people, but still those people are coming in my way? Then that is not right. That's their problem. But then
Yeah.
if your choices are making some public life in difficulty, how do you think of this? So I think from childhood, they kind of really help me understand how my one's mind works, and what I need and what I don't need, and
Mm-hmm.
and the moral compass was rightly in place, rather them being mad and all. Once I was 18, they're like, it's your life now, you take responsibility. I mean, we have helped you shape your mind, but it's really up to you how to shape it further.
Wow. When did you decide acting was your path?
Actually, I was a complete science student, and then
Really?
again, coming back to Kerala culture, we are very conservative in a lot of things. So my parents had this theater friends, and they wanted a girl. They wanted an actress basically.
Yeah.
And theater were considered very bad for girls to be. there are men and anything can happen. It's not a nice
Oh,
to go.
yeah.
It's not fancy. Also, it was not any fashion and anything. So they asked my parents, and I was like, I don't want to do. Even I was like, I don't want to do, like, what is this thing? And I was never thinking of acting, never. So I was 15, and I started doing a play with them. Just to then my mother said, "You, why don't you go and check? And if you don't like it at all, don't do it. But at least go check." So I
Yeah.
went and checked. It was a comedy play, and I like actually comedy, and it had a lot of dance as well. So I enjoy dancing. So I was like, maybe I'll do this play. And I did few performances, and I was like, okay, this is fun. Maybe I'll do it on like a side thing. And then I did another play. Then I started being in theater, and then at one point in graduation time, I was like, oh, maybe I'll study theater only. And then I started just studying. Then I started being in that more involved. And I studied in Paris. And that time I was basically learning clowning or buffoon. And I like more physical acting. Again, was not into film so much. I used
Okay.
to get a lot of film work at back then, but I was saying no to it because again, it was not my interest.
Okay.
Much later than from theater, I wasn't earning much money in India. So I was like, okay, maybe to survive, I need. So maybe I'll do some character at times in film. So it was very slow process to start liking acting in films. It took 15 years for me, probably.
Wow. Wow.
It's a very slow process. It was never my thing, I think.
Well, I guess now that your film has received such wide recognition and awards and celebration, you should be getting more, I guess, a bigger paycheck now from India. I hope. I
Actually,
hope.
nothing because of this. I think 3 4 years ago, I got this state award in Kerala, which is considered quite prestigious, at least for Kerala people. It's bigger than national award sometimes. Like we
Wow.
really, so that probably, that I think helped me kind of I ideally an artist should get that respect otherwise as well. But I think in
Right.
either you are a star or you won some award or something is when you actually get the basic human rights, which is really sad. That's not how a situation should be. But for me, I think that state award has given me certain kind of respect any artist should otherwise get, or easy to have a contract, and things became slightly easier for me after that award, I feel. And it is when I did that film, which I was talking about, Biryani, which was considered, for some people at least, it was interpreted out. They felt it is Islamophobic, but that's the one I was talking about. But it has a kind of improved my uh,
Resume.
journey as an artist, where you're treated at least in the minimum level that one should be treated, otherwise
Right.
something like.
Right. But do you feel more offers coming or more attention coming towards you now?
Not really.
No.
Even after state award, I never felt that. Actually, from Hindi, I sometimes get work, but from Malayalam, not much. And honestly, I, I don't know. I sometimes, especially when works with Pile, it was a very small film with a very small budget, and we did all
Yeah.
that. But I, it was still very much fun to work with like a small crew and everything. So then sometimes you feel I want to work only in that kind of a feeling, and then I don't know, like it feels more gravitating towards, with a small thing to do. And I'm gonna be like 39 in like few days. And I was also thinking sometimes I feel like I want to take a break and
Right.
I want to do completely something else. This kind of, I'm a bit like crazy like that, probably.
When I turned 37 this year and I felt a bit like, what am I doing? What am I doing with this life? What's my plan? Yada yada yada.
What?
Do you feel that now as you're turning
Maybe.
a year older?
No, I was feeling it for last few years, and then I
I
don't know,
don't think
like
there's a cure for it.
I really love where I live, which is Goa in Kerala. There is this little state called.
It looks beautiful. You got a fan, you got nice beautiful color, the roof. It looks
Yes,
like in the movies it looks just like I've imagined it.
I know. So I love my home and where we all live together. And these films take me away from home, and I have to be away, and which I don't like. So I'm like, I've been thinking I want to find something else where I can, just be at home mostly. Something like this I feel these days more.
Wow. Let's talk about the movie a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. I
Yeah,
haven't
we
even
should.
talked about it till now.
Well, it's hard because they wouldn't let me see the movie, but I saw the trailer, and one of the cool things about the trailer is how much the background, the setting, the city plays a big part in the story. You know, I saw noise, I saw lots of. I think they tried to show Mumbai as like a very happening, busy place, and it can make people lonely. When Pyle comes to you with a story like this that is very deep, how does she pitch, how does she share her vision to you, and how do you take her vision and trust her vision in that little conversation that you guys have at the beginning?
So the very first time we met, like I said, it was 8 years ago. So I knew I read another draft of the whole film back then, which was similar. And then I got to read again. And so for me, in India, as you know, we all speak very different languages.
Yeah,
And Payal and I communicate in English, not even Hindi.
that's funny.
Yeah, and that's the reality of India. Like
Yeah, that's very weird.
yes, very weird, but that is it, right?
Yeah.
I live in Goa and I don't speak Konkani, but we all live here. And in this house, there's one Gujarati, one Rajasthani, one Malayali, all kinds of people. We all speak in English because one of us will be not so comfortable with Hindi, or two of us will be not comfortable with Hindi. And anyway, none of us, our language is not Hindi. One is, like as I said, Gujarati, and one will be Marwadi, and one will be Malayali.
Wow.
So,
It's kind of beautiful.
yeah. So Payal's story is also about, in India, you kind of see these people that they live their hometown, their language, their culture, a lot of things, and to be able to work. And in a city where you don't even speak the same language, but you somehow make your own kins around that place, even though none of them are related to each other. In cities, either you make a strange friendship, which are kins, or you feel so lonely you want to go out. I think the story is more about how do you, kind of survive through a place like that where you really don't have any roots, but what makes you go further. So it is in the vantage point of all these different characters. My character is called Prabha, and Divya's character is called Anu, and then Chayaji's character is there, and Asisika, like all of them, all these Dr. Manoj, and all these characters are there. And in these characters, I find them, all of them are from different places, and some are from Kerala. 2, 3, 4 characters are from Kerala, and how do they survive through a city? And some are not able to, and they go back, and some are able to, and through what they are able to. And it's a story of that, and it kind of resonated with me because I also lived in different cities in India.
Yeah,
I've also
and Paris.
And Paris, I did not speak French well. It was my English. I used to feel lonely, and it is a completely different place and different thing. But I still know what it means to be in a place like that, and you feel so out of place. Even in Bombay, when I lived, I used to feel like I don't want to be here. I don't even know what's this culture. Like, it feels something. You need to somehow find that space of yours to kind of gel with it and then survive through it. And some people fail, some people survive through it, So that displacement of people, and then how they find that friendship and family through that, how they kind of perceive is kind of is the crux of the story for me in a way. And learning from each other, and then you kind of go through a transformation within that lifetime by trying to just negotiate with another who is completely different from me. But to be in this place, you kind of you grow, basically you are allowed to grow. And that is the story, and it kind of immediately kind of resonated with me. And the way she has written, especially like I said in the beginning, the script is so beautifully written. It's very poetic. It's not cinematic. I thought it's very, very poetic.
Right.
And that connected with me immediately. So even in the one meeting, I can't really say, because of course in one meeting you will never know. But of course, when I read the whole script is when I understood it better, I would say. Yeah.
Wow. And how did you guys prepare for this, for the shooting? I think it was in Mumbai and then in South India, and I guess it's very raw. Like, you're in these settings, in the train, outside, on the streets. Did you guys rehearse this in the studio before and then go out there, or did you guys or was there a lot of improvisation?
No, Payal is very strictly. I think my one very important scene we didn't rehearse, except that every other scene in the film I have rehearsed. She rehearses extensively. Even in fact, Divya's character and all, I don't know how many days they have rehearsed some 1,000 times some scenes. More,
Wow.
literally 1,000. I'm not joking.
Wow.
No, not in real places. Sometimes we rehearsed in Payal's house, sometimes wherever we could. And then we have an idea. They will shoot at some more scenes she edited. She has a version of the film which is completely not in the costume. Probably sometimes other people are playing the characters, but she has an entire different film also. Then, so when we went to the location, we already knew the scene quite well. And
Okay.
we also rehearsed knowing this is how the set will be. So we kind of put a bed or things like that, you know. So we kind of rehearsed quite a lot and not much improvisations. When we do rehearsals is when probably we improvise. In the shot, finally when we were shooting, not drastic improvisation, no, but something mild and subtle maybe, but that's how Pyle's
I've been to some premieres of movies, and I'm always surprised to find out that the actors and the actresses only watch the movie with the audience for the first time. And maybe they get like bits and pieces at the beginning, but it's their first time seeing the movie also, and they kind of keep quiet. If they don't like it, they don't share it, or if they like it, it's you try to look at their face to see if they like it or not. So I wanted to know, when you saw the movie for the first time completely at the premiere, was it to your satisfaction? Were you surprised, or were you disappointed? Or like what she told you the movie was going to be, and it came out to be, is still good, but it came out to be very different than you imagined it?
such a nice question. So yeah, like generally, I don't also watch myself much. If I have acted, I mostly avoid watching that film. Such a coward I am, anyway. Um,
I would say
so
modest, but go on.
no, it's coward. It's like totally.
Cowardice.
Um, you remind me one of my friends, so I kind of feel like I know you. It's so funny. Anyway.
That's funny.
Yeah, so ideally I wanted to watch the film before, because before Payal's film, there's one other film once I did. I went for a premiere.
Mm-hmm.
That was of a female director, and I wanted to watch the film. And that film I watched for the premiere with the audience, and I'm also watching for the first time. And I
Yeah.
realized I can't watch because people's reaction and I'm not able to see. I'm like, okay, this is not the way I would have liked to watch it already, and then maybe second watch with audience. This is what I
Okay.
would have liked. So I proposed, Payal, can I watch? But what happened is they have very short time. So only a day before they could really give me the final. And I'm like, now I'll wait for a day. It doesn't, because we were already at Cannes and we had a lot of interviews going on. It was very tiring to watch the film in that. And I thought, okay, I'll watch in the premiere, maybe. But thankfully, the audience were like very, attentive in Europe. Like I've always felt that in India, that is very, they had reactions, but like, very much in the film, kind of.
Okay.
So for me, the first 20-25 minutes of the film has elevated than the script, according to me.
Okay.
It
Much better
blew,
than the script. It blew
yes,
you
for me,
away.
like, wow, like it blew my mind, kind of. Then after the 25 minutes to that, some places it stayed as it is, as the script for me.
Okay.
Some places I felt some things that she chopped off. I'm really sad. Because we were very married to what the lines she has written, and it's so beautiful. And I was like, Payal, can you at least make a teaser of that line, because that lines are said so like
Yeah.
anybody can read it and it's a beautiful line. So I was just so sad that it's not there, kind of. So I would say I still think the script is more favorite of mine than the film, because I
Right.
think script always kind of, if it's beautifully written, it kind of leaves you with a lot of imagination. You can imagine as you want. And cinema kind of, any visual medium restricts me from imagining more than what it shows. So for me, I think the written screenplay with dialogue of Payal's script stands out more than the cinema, personally, for me. But the first 25 minutes, or to some extent, it is even better than the script, because she's added something and she did something which is really cool, I thought. But overall, it 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 kind of respected the value of script. The film managed to do justice to the script. That's what I felt.
Okay. I mean, you had an 8-minute ovation standing. So like that clearly tells you guys did a really good job. You guys must have left that building with like, your heads floating.
See, for me, of course, there is happiness from when audience give you applause or any kind of
Not just applause, not just audience, film critics,
yeah,
colleagues,
correct.
directors, actors,
So coming
producers,
to that, that's
you
what I
know.
was coming to. There
Okay.
were three actors, female actors in at Fran in at Cannes, who came up to me and noticed certain things I did,
Uh-huh.
which was something that I've taken back with me, which is very unique compliments that I truly value, because they're also like fellow artists who also evolves with, like it's like I'm living in India in a place called Goa, or I'm from Kerala and I'm working on my own with whatever I have. Then there are people, this one actress was from Portugal and one was from France, and they also working in, things,
In
and
their
then
own, yeah.
they in their own world and in their own thing, and then them seeing something that you did, something very, it's something subtle, and they kind of resonate with that, and they say, Kani, I know what you did there, and I totally see you, and that was something which is very personal for me and which I really valued, and those were really great. I'm not saying that it's not, but more than that, I honestly would say working with Pyle and the all my co-actors and entire team, which was a very pleasurable time. Like we still remember that, we still cherish that a lot. So that was there, and to watch the film there, finally what happened, and things, which is already overwhelming. So everything else is a bonus, basically.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. And I guess my last question is, what are you expecting from life in 5 years now, for the next 5 years? What do you think is
Uh,
gonna change?
always health. I'm not an ambitious person, honestly. Like when people ask like about work and all, I really don't know. Whatever
But
comes in
you've
my
done so much, like I mean, clearly there's a drive there. Clearly there's a mountain and you're climbing it. Like you can't say you don't care, you know.
No, I'm not saying I don't care, but I don't think about it probably. I live my life like on a, like literally this 5 minutes, 10 minutes is how I live. Have planning much. I've had a happy life till now. I'm very grateful for the life I've had, for
Hmm.
my parents, the way I was raised, and with all my friends and everything. I don't have regrets. That I can't really remember anything regretting, and I
Hmm.
had a good life.
Okay.
So I've been very privileged that way, I would say. And um, I take life quite lightly that way. Um, very much paying attention to surrounding, but lightly, something like
Okay.
this. That's
Okay.
how. So I don't know. I'm just happy. I'm easily happy. So
I guess maybe that's the key to a good life. Easily happy.
I don't know. Yeah.
I think that's do you have any questions or do you want to add something before we end it?
I'm happy that you wrote to me, because I've been following Brown history for some time. So I was just happy that it's very happy because I follow your page in terms of like just able to read some stories from, it's something, because
Thank
my
you.
from my childhood I had this habit. I will go to somebody's house and I want to see their albums and I'll ask them, what does this photo says? I want to know. Even when I don't know those people, I want people to
Yeah.
just tell me what happened there. And even when I don't know them, I never found that boring. I always want to know what happened to these people, when this happened, and what were they, who were they. So to any random people's house also, I always wanted to know a story behind a photo.
Yeah.
Uh, so something about your page, I was just like very happy that it exists. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. I'm really excited to see this movie of yours. The trailer looks amazing. And I really admire the way you showed your support for Palestine on the red carpet like that. That was very courageous and very good of you to do that. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Take
so much.
care.